One midday, when the gray clouds covered the orange sun, and sprinkles of tropical raindrops made silver droplets on the green leaves around the small city. I was sitting in the drawing room reading a book when I heard banging on the front door. "Andy, Andy, you Damone," someone shouted. I dropped the book and went to the door. It was my buddy. He was about my age, 13 years old, light skin. One of those people we used to call Grenada White. His afro hairstyle was one-sided, because the texture of his hair did not facilitate that style. He was skinny, just like me, but a lot shorter. We nicknamed him Roach. I don't know why, but that was what we called him. "Dad, bloody Ligaroo did it. He sucked me mutta. I'd go kill him," he screamed. I looked at him, shook my head and rolled my eyes. "Mon, you real crazy, you know." "No Ligaroo suck you mutta," I replied. "You Dan, believe me?" "Mon, I thought we friends," he said, disappointed. Then with marked determination, he said, "Let's go." "Go where?" I asked, but he was already at the door. I followed him down the concrete steps outside the house, on to Lucas Street, past the police directing traffic and up the steps to his house. He stopped and whispered, "Look at she-neck." I looked at him I don't look at you mutta neck, I protested. He frowned. "Mon, just look at she-neck." He opened the door and walked in. "Mommy, I home," he said, and walked into the drawing room. His mother walked out and was a little surprised to see me. "Hey Andy, what all you doing today?" "What all you doing today?" "Nuttin', ma'am," I said, not looking at her. Roach reached out and smacked my arm, signaling that I looked at her neck. I nudged him with my elbow, protesting, but I realized he was not going to stop insisting. Trying to be slick, I looked at her neck, and there it was, a mark that looked like someone had sucked on her neck. The middle was real purple, and the edges was red. My heart dropped. Dear Lord, Ligaroo, suck her real hard. I immediately headed for the door. "Where are you going?" she asked. I have to go cook lunch." I stuttered and walked out. Roach came running after me. "See, I tell you, de Ligaroo suck she," he said. "You dud know dat," I said, walking faster. "If it not a Ligaroo den, wha?" he asked. I did not respond. "I tell you, is dat one name Vung? You know me friend Jeffrey?" Well, he said dat. Other night he saw Vung flying over he house and den. He'd go in Miss Steele's window so he could suck she. He was jogging to keep up with me. Sweat rolled down my face, causing my dark skin to glisten in the sunlight. "You can believe anything dat boy say?" I retorted. "Mon, you saw it. Right on me mutta's neck. I go get dat Vung. You go wid me." I looked at him. He was just as frightened as I was. We all heard stories about the Ligaroo, how they would peel their skin off, jump out their window and turn into a ball of fire and climb in people's window to suck their blood. Vung was a little old man that everybody in the town accused of being a Ligaroo. He would walk around, eyes red as blood, smiling menacingly at us kids. He carried a crudely made walking stick with a black piece of cloth tied on the top of it. I was afraid to confront him, but I did not want to be his next victim. What if he get greedy and suck out all my blood? So later that day, when the sun was setting, Roach and I went up to Market Hill where Vung always stood, never saying a word, just giving people evil looks as they walked by. We stood. On the other side of the street, Vung saw us, his red eyes not moving, just staring. I looked at Roach. Hatred replaced the fear in his eyes like a rain cloud blocking out the moon. He started walking towards Vung. The Ligaroo's smile got bigger. Roach approached him. "Leave me Mata alone, you devil, you blood-sucking Jumbi. Leave me Mata alone, I say." Vung was giggling now, his voice slowly turning into a growl. I took a step back. Roach was determined. He stopped just in front of Vung, who was laughing maniacally now. Slowly, Roach raised his arms and made a cross with them. "Die, devil, die," he screamed. Vung took a step forward. Roach was fast, but I did not realize how fast until that day. He turned and took off. Vang looked at me. This time he was not smiling. "Ah, put a curse on you, Lickleby." I turned and ran as fast as my skinny legs to go. Roach was real happy. He was sure that Vung would die because he heard that if you showed a Ligaroo the sign of the cross, they would explode. But the next day Vung was back at his usual spot, standing at the top of Market Hill, and asked for Roach's mother. She had a new mark on her neck the next day, and the next, and the next. Well, hello there. You thought because it was Christmas that Papa Jumbie would not have a tale to tell? You were sadly mistaken. You see, I must tell the tale of Jeremiah, good old Jeremiah, the village drunk. See, it was Christmas Eve, but it was just another day for good old Jeremiah. See, Jeremiah was on his way home in the 4-day morning from another one of his drunken binges. So here's good old Jeremiah, staggering down the street, walking towards the only street lamp on the road. As he approached the pale light, he noticed that just past the street lamp in the shadows stood a fat man. Jeremiah stopped. Flies buzz around in the light. The fat man did not move. Jeremiah stopped, shook his head and said, "Santa, is that you?" Without saying a word, the fat man turned, looked at Jeremiah, then stepped into the darkness. Jeremiah shook his head and said, "Boy, I've got to stop drinking." But that little episode didn't change his mind. He was going to get home. He's going to rest, sleep off this drunk, get up in the morning, and go to the rum shop as usual. So he kept walking, singing some of his favorite Christmas carols as he went. He was coming up on the graveyard, his favorite shortcut home, but just before he reached it, there was that fat man again. He swore to himself that he heard laughter like good old jolly Saint Nick himself. Then soon after the laughter, the fat man dissipated through the gates of the graveyard. Once again in his drunken stupor, Jeremiah shrugged this off, kept walking, staggering, stumbling, until he was standing at the big iron gates of the graveyard. Suddenly, this small boy appeared. His shirt had no sleeves, and his pants was torn. Jeremiah rubbed his eyes. Why, he must be seeing things. Why in God's name would this little child be there? Who sent him? What did he want? He should be at home sleeping, waiting for good old Saint Nick to bring him toys. But before Jeremiah could say anything, the little rascal threw a rock and hit Jeremiah in his chest. Oh, that drunk was angry. He was so vexed, didn't even think. The child turned and ran into the cemetery. Jeremiah followed. He was running as fast as he could for being drunk. The kid seemed to be merely walking fast, but still Jeremiah couldn't catch up with him. Then the kid stopped under a light that was sitting in the middle of the cemetery. The headstone sort of glistened in the light from the early morning dew that settled on it. He turned around, faced Jeremiah, smiled, showing jagged teeth, red eyes. Jeremiah looked at the boy, up then down, and gasped when he noticed that boy's feet was pointed backwards. The child let out a shriek of laughter that went right through Jeremiah. Then threw a little rock, hitting the drunk in his head. Jeremiah charged at the boy, but all of a sudden he was gone, and Jeremiah stumbled over a tombstone and fell to his knees. He scrambled up and began running. He ran until he was almost to the end of the cemetery, then stopped. Next to him was a freshly covered grave. Jeremiah looked at it. He tried looking away, but for some reason could not. To his dismay, the soft earth began to move. Then he heard what sounded like sleigh bells all through the cemetery. And a laugh, a roaring laugh. It was not a jolly laugh, but one that would rattle the gates of hell. The top of that grave was still moving. Jeremiah felt compelled to go forward. See what that was moving in there. It must have been the alcohol that gave him the courage. He got to his knees, looked down at the grave, and all of a sudden Santa came up from the grave, grabbed him by his head and was pulling him in. Jeremiah screamed. But he knew no one would hear but the restless souls wandering in that graveyard. Suddenly, he was being pulled to the bottom of the grave, closed his eyes as mud filled them. Tried to scream, but mud went into his mouth, choking him. Flash of Christmas lights in his head, maybe because it just was the season. Christmas was flashing before him, and Santa pulled and pulled until Jeremiah was submerged. I guess he was naughty. Not nice. I guess this strange man wasn't Santa after all.